After a rain cancellation on Thursday, the Mets opened the 2024 season on Friday at Citi Field against the Brewers. Mets left-handed pitcher Jose Quintana got the start and was not bad, but not good either. 4.2 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 85 pitches. Quintana's fastball sat at 89 to 90 and topped 91 miles an hour, registering 4 whiffs and 5 chases. In the second inning, Starling Marte belted a solo shot to give the Mets a 1-0 lead, but that was all the Mets offense could do as their only one hit the entire game. Christian Yelich tied the game in the fourth with a solo shot. William Contreras drove in the lead run on a sacrifice fly in the fifth, and rookie Jackson Chourio played at insurance in the seventh to secure a 3-1 Brewers win on opening day. More on this game later. On Saturday, Luis Severino made his Mets debut, and long story short, it did not go well. Running into some hard luck early, the Brewers took advantage, plating 3 quick runs in the first. First pitch swinging Francisco Alvarez got the Mets on the board with a solo shot in the second, but Rhys Hoskins followed it in the third with a 2-run shot off of Severino to make it a 5-1 ball game. Severino went 5 innings pitched, a career-high 12 hits, 6 earned runs, 0 walks, 6 strikeouts on 88 pitches, balking in the 6th earned run in the 5th inning. Severino's fastball sat at 95 to 96 and topped 98 miles an hour, laboring a very erratic slider, registering 6 total whiffs to end his day. But the Mets offense eventually fought back later in the game. Down 7-2, runners at the corners, fresh off the bench, Brett Beatty slammed a pinch hit 3-run shot into the back of the Mets bullpen to cut the Brewers lead to 7-5 in the 8th. Fast forward to the last of the 9th, Mets slugger Pete Alonso cut the lead in half with a solo shot, his first of the year, but the Mets still fell short, losing 7-6 and beginning the season with an 0-2 start. And in the series finale, Tylor Megill got the ball on Sunday. The tall right-hander labored through just 4 innings pitched of 2-run ball, 3 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts on 78 pitches. McGill's fastball sat at 95 to 96 and topped 98 miles an hour, struggling with his control and erratic pitch shape, registering 11 total whiffs. Down 2-0 in the second, Tyrone Taylor drove in Francisco Alvarez with his first hit as a Met, but Yohan Ramirez would come on for 3 innings of relief as the Brewers added insurance in the 5th and 6th to make it 4-1 Milwaukee. And that is the way it stood to the end. The Mets begin the regular season 0-3 for the first time since 2014, set to continue their 6-game homestand on Monday night against the Tigers at Citi Field with left-handed pitcher Sean Manaea on the mound.
As awful as it was, it's not like there's nothing to be encouraged by. Starling Marte truly does look so good. His exit velocities are so much better. Really looks confident at the plate. Brett Beatty hit a very impressive homer off a lefty. I personally am very concerned about Luis Severino. The more I think about it, absolutely unacceptable. If we're going to see this on a consistent basis, he will not last with this team till June. I really want Severino to be good, and I'm not writing him off completely. But what we did see yesterday, we did see he lost another inch of rise on his fastball. He lost a whole tick of velocity. He could not command any of his pitches, especially his slider. And that stuff we cannot look past for me. That's stuff that is glaringly I am concerned about, genuinely. The declining stuff, the lack of slider command. If there's anything to be encouraged by, he didn't walk anyone. He had 6 strikeouts. He did experience unluck. But through that, with what we saw last year, the stuff kind of declining, it's starting to grade out his average, which is fine. If he can command his pitches better, he'll be fine. It's just this guy has been through thick and thin with injuries, inconsistency, and it just feels like time is running out for him. And I know it's one start, and I know we can bounce back. He's talented enough to do so. But what we saw, regardless of Zach Short's, what should have probably been an error, a balk, which, that's pretty fixable. This stuff cannot continue. And then we go to Tylor Megill. The final line might look like he allowed 1 run. It was a very scary outing for Megill. I was trying so hard not to make such big conclusions after so early into the season, but Tylor Megill showed us exactly what we've seen his entire career. Unbelievable consistency.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And he was walking the ballpark. Very lucky he got that dribbler from Hoskins, who I'm surprised did not hit a grand slam in that moment. And the weird thing is, McGill's stuff was pretty solid today. Like his fastball shape was a lot better last year. Like the drop was down to 13 inches, which was what it was in 2022. His velocity is sitting 96. His splitter looked great, honestly. I can't lie. Like it was his most effective pitch that he commanded at best, which is encouraging, I guess you could say. But I just think like I'm really starting to feel like that we should stick him in the bullpen, because if he can maintain the stuff he had today in the bullpen, I'm sure he could be a very solid piece of the bullpen. With Quintana gave exactly what I expected him to, and I'm honestly happy about that. Like Quintana gave us a chance to win the game, even if he didn't give us much length. Without a doubt, the most reliable pitcher, maybe the exception of Sean Manaea. I do believe Sean Manaea tomorrow will prove that he is reliable enough. I think he's the safest pick besides Quintana. Severino, Megill, they have to step up. This cannot happen. And Megill got an MRI. Might be seeing Jose Budo come up. And, he was great last year when he pitched, so we'll see how that goes. But, as for the offense, we saw some big inconsistency. I'm not as worried about the offense, maybe as I should be. There's going to be positive regression with Lindor, Nimmo, and Alonso. They're not going to perform this bad. I don't think Jeff is going to be an 150 OPS bat.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
JD Martinez is on the way. So our top four is going to be really good. Alvarez looked great. I really hope that he can continue this. I have documented I have a little bit of concern with his consistency with the bat, so it's great to see him get off to this quick start. Maybe it can motivate him, get him to a good groove. Tyrone Taylor, he looked fine, I guess. He got a big hit today. Omar Narvaez, I know he had a barrel today. He hit some balls deep, but
ever since he's been a Mets catcher, he has not been a good defensive catcher with the Mets. He really is not.
I agree with you. Like, I feel like so many pitches he just isn't framing like he used to. Like in Milwaukee, I'd watch the Burns like backdoor cutters and always be Narvaez like doing beautiful frame jobs on the outside part of the zone to lefties. We're not seeing that anymore. It's 3 games. The offense, I think, will be fine. But this pitching staff, the floor of this pitching staff has been well documented. The ceiling has been well documented. The floor is scarily displaying itself right now.
If you just want to say, yeah, okay, maybe it's just their first starts of the season, but the fact that 2 of these pitchers, especially Megill and Severino, coming off of pretty tough years and looking to kind of bounce back and kind of regain their form, you kind of want to see a little bit more of instant progression. And as for Severino, not only were the results bad, he ran into some hard luck, like we said. There was some secondary issues that I don't want to see. I do think that, Severino is going to be fine, but there is some things that we do need to see a little bit of ramp up on. Like we do need to see a less lack of uncompetitive pitches from him, especially with like just using the heart of the plate sometimes, because like he still has the chaseable stuff. We know he does. I feel like there's just a lot of concern with the pitch shape, a lot of concern with not really consistency, but really just he can't handle a starter's workload, and maybe he just can't go in that distance, and that's kind of how his stuff just kind of suffers with it. There's some things that have to be adjusted to, and hopefully we can get a consistent 5 to 6 from Severino, because we're not really going to have a Yohan Ramirez every single time to clean these guys up. The offense, of course, I have my critiques on it. There's one thing that I don't want to see, and I'm really upset about, that we'll get into later. I will say I'm giving the offense just a chance to breathe as of right now. I'm not going to go after it completely, mainly because the main hitter that we need to kind of like complete that top 4 is not going to be here yet, and hopefully they can make up the ground and hold down the fort until he comes. But as of right now, they're not doing it the best way. I've liked what I've seen from Brett Beatty so far, and I did not expect craziness. He seems to have the right approach. There's been a few uncompetitive swings, but I will say he's getting under the ball a lot more. He's making a lot more quality contact, even some of the foul balls as well. He is making some really good contact. It's very early. Anything can shift. We all know that we saw him pull a lot of fly balls, get a lot of good exit velocities when he first came up last year. So I'm not going crazy, but it's been very, very encouraging. Francisco Alvarez, of course. I also will say Starling Marte has seemed to be the only player that has been consistently alive in this lineup for 3 games. So that has been impressive.
Marte has been one of my favorite players on this team. I feel like I didn't really appreciate Marte enough in 2022 because he was just such an important player to that team. If he's healthy, which we know he is, and he's hitting the ball really hard, he's getting some awesome contact. If Starling Marte is back, and I'm not saying like 130 WRC plus back, if Marte is a 110, 115 bat, or if he's even above average, he's going to provide that base stealing. Like Starling Marte being back would make this lineup so much scarier.
It anchors the bottom of the lineup better, I think. If
Yo,
he
for
is
sure.
back. I mean, yeah.
And you got Nimmo, Lindor, Pete, and JD, who you know are going to hit well. You got Alvarez, who you know is going to provide power at the very least. And then you got Jeff McNeil. 3 games in, we'll see if he can revert to his old ways. Brett Beatty does look good. I agree with you. I like some of the swings he's taking. But you know, what I saw from this Brewers team is unbelievable defense, unbelievable defensive plays all weekend. That's something that I think David Stearns was really pushing, having a strong defensive team. And this is a team he built. The way they run the bases, the way they play defense is something that I think I kind of overlook because I've always been like, oh, just hit bombs and you'll win games because, you know, homers win season. I'm seeing the Mets whenever we get someone on first and there's an open base at second, we're not sending anyone. Like, we're not being aggressive. And like with especially the new stolen base rules, it's just an art to watch them play defense, the Brewers. If they make every play and they make difficult plays.
You have kind of just a little bit of everything that helps you win games these days where, you know, whether it is base running, whether it is defense, you know, I think that that's kind of like the model he's somewhat looking at, but also just, you know, with more of a wider budget, of course. But I think that he has the flexibility to build maybe a team like that, kind of a well-oiled machine overall, fundamentally doing other things well, winning in the margins, shall we say, when maybe the big bats or the big pitchers are not doing well, those key intangible type of players, the guys like Taylor, the guys like Bader. I mean, I noticed it throughout most of spring training as well with Harrison Bader. He doesn't, not only can he not hit right-handed pitching, I don't think he's comfortable at all against right-handed pitching. I feel like he has like this very vulnerable like inner third of the zone against right-handed pitching, and they just like to take him out glove side. With the offense, I think, you know, I'm just waiting to see it in full form before I completely go after it. We're just kind of waiting for the JD Martinez. I don't want to see the Mets being dependent on Kodai Senga so much. That's kind of really my main concern here as to how much weight is Kodai Senga actually pulling into this rotation. They're going to put him on a pitch limit when he comes back. So he's not going to bring up the workload immediately and instantly give a boost to this rotation in terms of volume. So I am concerned with the volume of this rotation. I think that's the main focus. This was a frustrating series. Let's just say that. It didn't seem like many things were going our way. At the end of the day, the Brewers were the better team throughout this entire series. A few encouraging moments, shall we say, on the pitching side, very concerning. Let's just say that. Prime example of what we saw this entire series. The defense has to be better because it shortens the inning. I mean, there's just been so many mishaps that have so far in just 3 games that have led to the floodgates just completely opening and not even giving us a chance to do anything. They're not even given a chance. They're already behind by the time they get to the plate. So at the end of the day, the pitching has to be better. And we know that some of these pitchers at their very best, at their top 10% outcome, they can give us these quality outings. And it needs to be better than that.
Sean Manaea is saving the season. Please, please.
That was one of the main reasons why we were losing games last year, because the starting pitching was not going the distance. And we just lost 3 games because the starting pitching was not going the distance. So it's a continuing trend from last year that we want to pretty much break in half.